Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're located. This is Stuart Blumenthal with Network, and today we are going to be continuing our education series for our clients and prospects on Acumatica. And specifically today, we're going to be talking about physical inventory. I know that with it being October, the end of October, this is an important topic, especially at year end when everyone does their physical counts. And today I have the honor of having Dan St. John do the education. Dan is one of our consultants here at Network on Acumatica, and we're excited to have him do this. Dan, if you could slide it one forward, just so I can go over the rules.
There you go.
So just real quick, the presentation is about 30 minutes. For those who are, can make sure that you kind of budget your time. All the phone lines are muted. So please use the questions feature within there. I'll be monitoring those throughout the performance and throughout the training. And with that, I want to make sure we optimize our time today. So Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good. Thank you, Stuart. Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about probably one of the least favorite functions of managing our inventory. It's actually counting the inventory. Very tedious at times, and depending on the breadth of your inventory and the size of your inventory items and everything, it's probably one of the least favorite items we have here. Before I go into show you specific demonstrations, I wanted to talk about the different types of physical inventory types that we use here in Acumatica. One is an ABC code, and I'm going to go into a little bit more details into these in a second. Number two, calendar cycles. Number three, full inventory count, speaks for itself. Movement class, so you can measure how fast things are moving, so you can use by the class itself. The item class, and also by stock item. Okay, so first thing, let's talk about this. ABC codes, okay? There are a number of different definitions of ABC codes, but essentially it boils down to this. You have codes A, B, C, D, and an infinite number. What we're choosing to show here is items with rapid sales, and you want to count these approximately 6 times per year. And the turnover rate is about 20%. Okay. B, items with average sales. So you probably want to count these 3 times a year, and your turnover rate's only about 15%. Then you get into with low sales volumes, and 2 times per year, and maybe 10%. And then items with hardly any negligible sales volume, 1 times per year. And just with the maximum turnover rate is 55%. So a lot of times that 55% is high because you might only have 2 of them and you sell 1 in the entire year. So that's why it could be considered high. Another version of ABC codes that I've seen is doing your codes by inventory value. So you measure your top 20% of inventory by value, and that's your A code, where you can want to do that more frequently. Then B would be your next 20 or 30% by value, and count those 3 times per year, so on and so forth, on down to the items that do not have much value at all. So you just count those once per year. The ABC codes can be self-described. Whatever works for you is the is the way to go. Okay. By the way, the ABC codes is probably one of the more popular features that I've seen in the last several years. Prior to that, it was basically just cycle codes. But in the last couple of years, I've seen ABC codes, the popularity of it and usage of it increase. Okay, movement class. So you have movement class A would be average turnover rates, 3 times. Per year, count it 3 times per year. Maximum movement, 50%. High turnover rates, you want to count those more often if they're moving faster. 6 times per year, maximum to rate. And then you have the low turnover rates that hardly move at all. So the count them once per year, and the maximum turnover could be 25. So This is another type and another way to look at counting your physical inventory. And don't necessarily go by the A, the H, and the L like that. Once again, just like in the ABC codes, you can decide your movement classes, whatever works for your inventory. Okay, physical cycles. Annual, just type, kind of at the end of the year, one time. Monthly, some things move pretty fast, so you're going to want to count those every single month. And then quarterly, 4 times per year. So most of that's pretty self-explanatory. And now we're going to look at physical count. So what is the process for performing your physical count in Acumatica? So number 1, prepare the physical count. Number 2, prepare your count sheets. Number 3, count the items. 4, enter the count. 5, generate your adjustments. And 6, release the adjustments, and you're done. Okay? Because of the nature of a physical count, when you're counting items, the count is actually frozen. And when you're dealing with physical counts, essentially you're not moving any inventory. You can't receive any inventory. You can't sell any inventory. So that's what makes the physical count something of an off hours, end of the day, early in the morning before the day gets started, and quite possibly on weekends. Okay, so as long as the physical count and the items that you're counting are frozen, then you can't do anything. Now, that's not going to prevent anybody from entering a sales order or entering a purchase order, but you're not going to be able to do any shipping or receiving. Okay, so now let's walk through an actual count in Acumatica. Okay, so I assume everybody can see my screen?
We can.
All right. Okay, very first thing. Okay, by the way, down here in Acumatica, this is where you define your physical inventory types. Okay, ABC codes, calendar, full count, movement class, small item classes, and then just by basically your inventory, you could do a list of inventory items. Okay, this right these days pretty much is probably the least popular method that I've seen for a while here. Like I said earlier, the ABC code has definitely gained a lot of traction and performing just moving up in popularity. Okay, you need to create one. All you have to do is click on the plus sign and give it type, and forgive my typing here. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so generation method, full inventory, by movement class, and like that. Okay, so you select this, and then this is the definition of your, you save it, close it, and it's done, and it's now part of that list. Okay, so once you do your inventory types, it's on the list and it's available for selection for generating your physical count. Okay, physical inventory cycles. One of the choices was a cycle. So over here, annual, monthly, quarterly, and you can also do like a semi-annual here, just simply by clicking the plus sign, typing in the method you want, and the definition and how many times per year you want to count it. So before we move into a demonstration here of the actual process, do we have any questions?
Does not look like we have any questions at this point.
Okay, so first step of physical count, prepare your physical count. Okay, so in my demonstration here, just to show you, it can be easy, it can be more complicated. I chose this the small pick, which is basically by item class, and we chose it by we limited by location. Okay, for these locations in the warehouse, and even had limited by inventory ID. So when you're generating your physical count, you can do any kind of limitations. You over here on the right hand side, you can actually choose to exclude certain locations. And same thing up here with the item selection. You can specifically choose what you want, or over here you can actually exclude. And if you exclude something and you're just going to, it'll generate everything except what you excluded. Okay, so we've followed up with this. We generated the PI, and all you do is generate here. I've already taken the liberty of generating, so it's probably not going to let me do it. I didn't think so. Okay, so I have already done this. And so the next step would be prepare your physical count sheets. Okay, so come in here, I choose the count that I just activated. Okay, so this is important. So, down here you see listed other counts that have been processed in the system. So here I'm going to choose the one that I want, which is what I just activated, because I don't necessarily want this waste paper and stuff that I don't need here. So I'm going to choose specifically what I'm counting, and then I just come up here and run report. And then here's your sheet that you can distribute it to your team and send them out into the warehouse. And in theory, they're going to be coming in here and typing in what they counted. Okay. Now, one thing to note on here, a matter of opinion would be some people do not care to put what they're expecting to count, and other people find it beneficial. So it's a matter of opinion. When you're generating the count, you can choose to include this or not include this, and everything. And there's an argument in both directions. Okay.
Dan, there's a couple
Yes.
questions that came in during this time here, so I think
Okay.
they're all good questions here. The first one is that can these worksheets be customized to? Can they be customized?
Yes. They're done with the Acumatica's report writer. And so if it's too much information on here, we can always reduce the amount of information. And yes, you can customize it to suit your own needs.
Perfect. Great. Hopefully that answers your question there. Another question from the group: can the inventory types be created based on where the physical inventory sits, like a bin ID?
Yes. Coming back here, let's come back in here and go to my prepare physical count. Okay, and location selection. So here is the location in the warehouse. Up here on the front side, I generated by a warehouse here. So here I'm designating exactly which locations do I want to see.
Perfect. Does that answer your question? So yes, everything can be. So the goal is that you're only going to count where you can count where you're physically located. I mean, you can count one bin. You can say, hey, I want to count an entire row. Based upon the way you set that up, it's very easy to set up a row, a shelf, a location, things like that. So hopefully that answers
Absolutely.
your question. Yep. So
absolutely. Okay. So it's today you might decide you're going to do a specific warehouse, and because the warehouse is large enough, you might want to count one row, and you might even want to count the right side of the row and leave the left side of the row for the next day. So yes, you can totally customize when you're preparing your physical count in here based upon the location and the item.
Awesome.
Okay, that answer your question?
It looks like it does for them. Great job.
Okay, so once again, I'm going to come in here and choose what I'm doing. And I just come up here and run report. And by the way, over here, once if you have multiple versions, this is the house version, if you will. So they would be listed here, and so you just choose which version you want in here. Okay, and then run report. And once again, it's designed so that you are going to go out into the warehouse and count. This one is so large is because we're dealing with widgets. Okay, sometimes they're computers, but I'm dealing with serial numbers. And when you count this and that, we know you can't physically have negative, so you're going to count in there, count 0, 0, 0, and so on and so forth. So once they finish counting and come back to you, and the next step will be to enter your physical count. So you come in here, and you're going to come in here, physical quantity, and you type it in. And the next question would be, I know it's on your minds, everybody, yes, we can import it if you have this on a spreadsheet. Because if you have multiple items in there like that, then or hundreds and thousands of items like that, so probably you don't want to be entering by hand. So enter here, 0, down arrow, 0, down arrow, 0, down arrow, 0, down arrow. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through the whole 100 items here. Okay, so I'm in here, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then I'm going to go to the next page. Okay, so let's say they didn't find this one. So 0, 1, 1, so on and so forth. Let's go in and see if I got something other than a serial number. I guess not. Okay, lots of laptops and lots of widgets. Okay, so once you finish entering your count, you come up here and save it. And the next step would be, you want to physical inventory review. And so I'm going to come in here. This is the one I have in progress. So I'm going to review this and decide on accuracy. It's entirely possible when I review this, I might want to send somebody back out into the warehouse to recount it, or attempt once again to locate something that maybe didn't locate. Okay. I say, well, looks like I made a mistake here. It's supposed to be 126,000 of these widgets. So I counted this here. So I can come in here. And fix that issue on the fly. So once I've done all this and I am satisfied for the count, I can finish counting. Okay, it's going to generate my variance and everything. And complete the PI. Now, probably what I'm going to do before I would come in here and complete the PI, I want to come over here and look at my adjustments. Okay, so I hadn't been generated yet. So review again. I'm sorry. Complete my PI. And once again, update actual costs, get some PI, so on and so forth. And we're all good. And it did not create my adjustments. Okay, so here's my variance review. Right there, print it, export it, and I like that. And it's supposed to generate my Adjustments.
You might want to try up and down. Not sure why it's not, but
Yeah,
one question that came in here, and this is obviously having fun with demo data. One question that came in is, can we scan can this all be done through a scanner? And the answer is yes on that.
absolutely.
Acumatica's, yeah, Acumatica's got a scanning app built in. So if you have the warehouse management solution, and in fact, we were just showing this the other day. So if you within the warehouse management solution, you're able to scan in the item and do lookups, do counts. It's all part of the scanning functions that are built within the screen or built within the handheld app that you can download at the Apple or Android app stores. Perfect.
That's it. The last step is the update the adjustments. And I am not sure in my demo data why it's not generating an adjustment. But those items that were negative and positive and like that would show up under adjustments, and then all you do is post that, and it will update your inventory.
Perfect. Let me see if there's any other questions that came in from the group. Does not look like it at this point here. Does not look like it at this point. So, Dan, if you don't mind going to the last page of the PowerPoint, and we can. So, yep. So, thank you very much, Dan. Yeah, and it's always frustrating when it doesn't do the last step for some reason within the system. But want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. So, again, here's our contact information on here. There are a lot of blogs on Acumatica on our website. So, if you go to network.com/blog, and then just do a tag under there called and choose Acumatica, you'll see all the different all the different blog articles we've done on and videos that we've done on Acumatica. We've done a lot. Dan just did one recently on bank recs. And then in December, we're going to be holding our famous annual end of year processing. So for 2020, December 2020, probably the first or second week, we'll get that out. We'll be doing another one on how to handle 1099s and all the year-end processing that you need to do, making sure your year-ends are closed, making sure that your subledgers balanced to the general ledger, all the fun things that you need to do at the end of the year to make sure that your books look perfect for your accountant at that point, and you can get your tax returns done quickly. With that, I'd like to again thank Dan for preparing this and getting this done today. Thank you, Dan. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone, and I think that's the end. So I'll stay on for another minute to make sure there's no questions, but otherwise, thank you very much for your time today.